Some things that you need to keep in mind with regard to property valuation calculations. With the sales comparison approach or market data approach to value, the value of a feature that is present in the subject property but not in the comparable property is added to the sales price of the comparable. A feature that is present in the comparable but not in the subject property is subtracted from the sales price. So if the comp is worse, we add when we adjust the value of the comparable. If the comp is better, we subtract when we adjust the price of the comparable. If the comp is worse, we add. If the comp is better, we subtract. And adjustments are always made to the price of the comparable property. We never adjust the price of the subject property. For example, when a subject property has an attached two-car garage, and one of the comparable properties has no garage, an appraiser will add the value of the garage to the sales price of the comparable. The net adjustments to each of the comparables are added or subtracted to give an adjusted value used in establishing a range of value for the subject property. When you're making the calculations to establish a listing price to help the seller price their home, we'll use a competitive or comparative market analysis, or CMA. Now, the CMA's calculations are basically the same as those used by an appraiser in the sales comparison approach. But the CMA, competitive market analysis, is not an appraisal. Only an appraiser can call his work product an appraisal. A competitive market analysis or comparative market analysis determines the market value, which is the most probable price the property will bring in an arm's length transaction. The comparative market analysis derives a range of value for the property. As in the sales comparison approach, a broker adjusts the comparable property's sales price or listing price based on its features compared to the subject property. Adjustments are made only to the price of the comparable property. Calculations for property taxes. They're a lot easier than they seem. So let's start with what a mill is. A mill is 1/1000th of a dollar, or 0.001 dollars. A tax rate of 3% on a property's assessed value would be stated as 3%, 0.03, and could be expressed as 30 mills, or $3 per $100 of assessed value, or $30 per $1,000 of assessed value. For example, when we're using mills, a property assessed for tax purposes at $160,000, which with a tax rate of 3%, or 30 mills, would have a tax of $4,800, $4,800. $160,000 times 0.03, that's 30 mills, equals $4,800. $800. An equalization factor is used in some jurisdictions, and it's used to correct inequalities in statewide tax assessments. The assessed value of each property in the area is multiplied by that factor, and the tax rate is then applied to the equalized assessment. For example, if an equalization factor of 120% is used in the previous example with a tax rate of 30 mils, then the tax on the property of $160,000 value would be $5,760 because we take the 160,000 times 1.2 or 120% equals 192,000. 192,000 times 3% or 0.03 is $5,760.